So the 6-month temporary residency rule abolished. Huge news. Or is it huge news? Really? Let's see. So let's tell you first of all what this means. Well, before, if you were on a temporary residency basis, temporary residency means you're in that first 5 years of residency. Okay, so for our clients, let's talk about the non-lucrative visa. That starts when you'll get your entry stamp and you get your TIE card, which starts on that date. And then for the first 5 years, evidently you've got to go through the subsequent renewal processes. But when you get to that 5-year point, you can then declare your permanent residency. But those first 5 years are temporary residency periods. Now, if you spend more than 6 months, or before, if you spent more than 6 months outside of Spain during that period, when you come to renew your residency at that point, they would deny your residency. They'll say, no, you've been out of the country for far too long, more than 6 months in any year period, and we're going to deny your renewal for your temporary residency. That rule has been abolished. Okay, this has been abolished because an Iranian lady basically had to spend more than 6 months due to various medical reasons, I think it was, and she got denied her renewal. That then got taken to, she would have done. Now, let me explain the structure of the appeal. So the first appeal is an administrative appeal, contencioso. So basically you have the chance to appeal administratively without going to court if you get denied. And then if you get denied your appeal, then you have the chance to take this to court and a judge decides. If that doesn't happen, you can take it to Supreme Court. This lady took it all the way, and eventually the Supreme Court ruled against the Foreign Office in Girona and said she can have her residency, which set precedent for a change in the rules. Now, the first articles that I came across actually date back to July last year. So I come across one here in Murcia today, which quite comically has a picture of the Almeria Foreigners Office and big queues outside of there. I have no clue what that has to do with Murcia. Not as though they haven't got a very pretty place themselves to take photos of, which we've got many of. And there's another one here that I saw from the International Advisor. And basically that was right back there. The headlines are: Spain reportedly acts as 6 months absence rule for losing temporary residency. The Mercy today reported Spain abolishes 6 months absence rule for temporary residents. But it wasn't abolished at that point because this still has to get written into the BOE. Now take a look at this. Now this is what happened on the 4th of March. Now the BOE, which is this document here, here we go, is what makes it official. And as you can see there, I've actually highlighted in orange basically the declaration which makes it official that 6 month temporary ruling now is not a cause for extinction of a temporary residency. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that you can actually, before you get to that 5-year period, be out of the country for more than 6 months. What don't we know? Well, what we don't know is, the first thing is the interpretation of the subdelegations of the governments. Now, we assume that they have to abide by this law. We know that the interpretations from the various subdelegations of the immigration law, national immigration law, can be slightly different. So we're yet to see, when someone has spent more than 6 months outside of Spain, how this is applied, whether they'll just say, yeah, it doesn't matter, we're not going to take it into account, or they're going to say, well, actually, you got your residency before this, so we're going to take this rule into account. Anybody who got their residency after this, the 4th of March, then can take control. We're going to see what happens on that front. And also, don't forget that it does affect your permanent residency. So as you can see here, on the details to getting permanent residency, your larga duración, after 5 years, that still doesn't permit you to be out for more than 10 months in the first 5-year temporary residency period, which only averages to 2 months a year. So albeit you might have a strenuous circumstance which takes you out for more than 6 months, and maybe you have a year where you have to do an awful lot of traveling, and that holds you out for more than 6 months. when you get to the end of that 5 years, if you have spent more than 10 months, you will still not get your permanent residency. So it's one of them. Yeah, it's a great ruling for emergency circumstances and for people who may not be planning to get permanent residency, but really it's not applicable for people who are planning to get permanent residency, certainly the demographic of our clients, because none of them would tend to spend or plan to spend more than 6 months out anyway, because that will eat into that 10-month period that you have to meet to get the permanent residency. So I suppose in a way it's great for emergency circumstances. So suddenly, and this happens an awful lot, suddenly people ask me, you know, well, they're planning on moving to Spain, but they may have elderly parents. There might be certain circumstances, like the client that I mentioned before, who was taken ill, and that you have to be abroad for a prolonged amount of time during your temporary residency, although it's unplanned. Well, now, if that falls into more than 6 months, you should not lose your temporary residency. But if you get to that 5-year permanent residency and you've been outside of Spain for more than 10 months, then you won't get your permanent residency anyway. So it is a huge ruling, but not so big. And I honestly don't think it's going to affect our clients' plans that much, especially for things like the non-lucrative visa. It may affect other people on other platforms. So yeah, that's basically, I thought we'd get that out there. You've seen that they've changed that sentence, where they basically annulled the rule. Apparently it was an abuse of people's freedom of movement as well within the EU. Apparently that's what it was based on. And yeah, it's great for people who maybe are planning on having a year, 2 or 3 out in Spain, but not actually staying there all the time. That's great, because it gives us some fantastic flexibility. But for people who are planning on retiring here, unless it's an emergency circumstance, I don't really think it's going to affect what your long-term plans are. Anyway, listen, thanks for watching the channel again. And don't forget that tomorrow we are on the YouTooSpain YouTube channel, the live with the groovy scats, and we are going to be chatting about this tomorrow. So if you've got any questions, either post them below in this video or go straight to the link which is at the bottom of this video to join up tomorrow at 10 AM on the live. All right, and if you have joined up through this channel, please let us know, because Scats has got like nearly 8,000 subscribers and we've only got nearly 3. So I want to know the people who are coming from our channel and finding Scats. And if you found our channel through Scats, let us know as well, because we need to nick another one of those 5,000 subscribers more than what we've got. I want to get those in our bag as well. So, but jokes aside, don't forget to see us tomorrow, 10 AM Spanish time, 9 AM UK time on the YouTooSpain channel. Ask your questions, subscribe and like.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the